pretty established what the word bromance means. It refers to like buddy cop kind of friendly movie type goers. But what if you say a bromance with fiber? Does that convey the same image to your mind as it does to my mind? So what we've got here is failure. Okay, no, it's not a failure to communicate. But it's the 2-Rax Terran versus Zerg opener that is so standard nowadays. Standard because it's really the only way that Terran can compete with Zerg. Because when they changed it so that you could get you had to get a supply depot before a Rax, and Reapers are completely terrible. It's hard as Terran to make the Zerg not spend the entire first like 8 minutes of the game making nothing but drones. So this is kind of the way that Terrans have adapted to that, is to say, sure, you don't have to fear me coming with Marines until 4 minutes in, but when I come 4 minutes in, you better be prepared, mother. You better be prepared. So, despite him using a sunken to push back my early bunker, I'm still just keeping a presence down here and letting him know that if he makes too many drones, he's gonna die, or at least lose a lot of stuff. So as you can see, I'm doing all this off just 2 racks, and I'm using it as a distraction to get a fast expansion and 2 bunkers down here back home. But just this presence of Marines. See, this is his view right now. He sees the Marines coming. He sees that I have a bunch of Marines. He's moving his sunken. He's responding by moving his lings, preparing for the next attack. He's built 10 lings. That's 5 drones he didn't just build. And if you go back to everyone view, you can see I'm not even going to attack him. I'm moving my guys away. So the idea of this opening that I've done so far is all about making sure that right now at 10 minutes, when I pause it and look at how many workers he has, I want to see a number close to that 39. And this guy is in the Masters League. If I had put on 0 early pressure, he would have 50 workers by now. He would have 48, 53, some number up in there. So even though I didn't do a lot of damage with my Marines, the damage I did was economic, because every ling he builds is a drone he didn't build. So anyway, here he's coming with his 12-minute mutas. 12 minutes is almost it's almost always when the mutas are going to come, but you got to be prepared just in case they come at 9 minutes. He's got 2, 4, 6, 7 mutas, and that's $1,400 he spent on mutas, and that's pretty typical for Zerg. The point of these mutas is, as you can see, he's taking his expansion. The mutas only killed 3 SCVs and nothing else. I canceled 2 supply depots, but canceled supply depots don't really count. So now that the mutas are out, that's when he feels safe. Mutas are a pinning unit. They're a map control unit. He sits on 2 base, plays defensively until his mutas pop, and as soon as his mutas pop, he feels like he can get a 3rd and maybe even a 4th, and he can pin me in my base by saying, look, if you leave your base with your whole army, I'm going to run my mutas in there and cost you a bunch of SCVs or a bunch of reactor towers or something. The point of the mutas is to make me have to chase the mutas around. Now, obviously, he's not using them that way, but that's because he sees that my army is coming to attack him. Now, the cool thing about, from the Terran's perspective, about a Zerg who's trying to use mutas to pin you in your base, is that it's so inexpensive to counter mutas. Mutas do 4 DPS per dollar compared to the, like, 35 of upgraded Marines. So as you can see, he's got 165 unit space to my 150. He's got 8,400 army spending to my 5,700. He's got a 7,000 actual existing army size to my 5,000. But because of the early damage, I mean, imagine a player this good who got that much army even after the early economic limitations that I put on him. If I'd done no harass and just come out with this exact same army against what would therefore from him have been like a 200 unit space army. Yeah. Anyway, so despite him having really good macro and having spent a large amount of money and done, you know, a good job producing units, the units he chose to produce were very muta heavy. A 7,000 army, Zerg army against a 5,000 Marine army, where the Marines are just Marines in 2 medevacs with 2/2 upgrades. The Zerg army could easily win if it was made only of lings and banelings, especially with the horrible job I did of spreading my units. But because every muta he builds is a couple lings and banelings he didn't build, and because he had so many mutas, it was just not even close. So don't build way too many mutas, guys. Don't build way too many mutas.